All right, guys, what's up? This is Jose, Brandon, Ben, and we have a special guest, Caleb Hood.
Always up to no good.
AKA the golden Snook boy of 2024, huh?
AKA the prototype. AKA Mr. 30 Pounder. AKA Catch Him If You Can. Caleb is a dear friend of ours, really helped us from the beginning of the company. I thought it would only be right if we're going to tell the story of NLBN, that of course Ben is here and we have Caleb with us because he was instrumental in prototype testing when we were behind the lab, when we were behind the pots, pouring, getting it done. Caleb was helping us get so much feedback that was invaluable. Full circle, now he works with us. He runs our Instagram page, all our posts. He curates them, he puts them up there. All your messages, he answers them all. So special guest is Caleb, and today you're going to hear the story of NLBN, how it started, and the company that never should have existed. We never intended in making a fishing lure company, so this is the story on why we made fishing lures that we needed and how that turned into NLBN. So stay tuned, guys. Appreciate it, and we'll get into the episode.
Okay, look, can't hear the music.
No.
What Brandon does when he catches a 30-pound snook.
All right, so we're back. Episode 5? 4? Episode 4. It feels like episode 50. Probably one of the most important episodes that we've ever done as part of the business is telling the story of NLBN, the company that should have never existed. A lot of people think that we started off wanting to make a fishing lure company, and doesn't any kid dream of having a fishing lure company? I know we did, but that was never the intention of NLBN. That's not the way that we got started. So we just wanted to talk to you guys, let you know where we came from, how the idea came about, and talk about the company that should have never existed. Brandon, I see the big smile on his face because it was never, I know he never really dreamed of getting to where we are now, and it was because we were never supposed to be here. Took all the wrong advice from everybody. Everybody always had their opinions on what we should do, how we should do it, and kind of did everything opposite.
Completely opposite.
The whole way through.
Yeah.
So telling you guys a little bit about our beginnings, where we came from, and where the idea of NLBN came from. So, I don't know, coming from the guy that invented the hashtag. Some people would beg to differ, but we were there in the beginning. We kind of saw it, and it all started from a hashtag. Tell them a little bit about that hashtag and where that came about from.
Well, back in the day when we were fishing, 4 or 5 nights a week, all we were fishing were lures and SpoolTeks, flare hawks, and catching big fish. We wanted to show off big fish, showing everybody, look, we catch a big fish, not on live bait. We're catching them on lures, and just create a little hashtag to throw in people's faces, like no live bait needed.
I remember we used to put you catch one on a lure and then you take the little logo you made and then we put it in the background of the photo.
Yeah.
And then it was
started
like the flex, you know what I mean? And we actually built a social media following, honestly, on our personal accounts through all that too, especially you guys.
Yeah, we were using no live bait needed, and I remember even using no D batteries.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no D batteries
yeah.
needed.
Yeah. And then we created a page, and we're like, yo, let's just create a little page and just show off, not even ourselves, other people catching big bass, big snook on artificial. It could be any lure. If you go way down on our page, you'll see a couple of our buddies catching big bass, Caleb holding big snook, a whole bunch of people holding
Cody,
some
a
big
bunch
fish.
of people when they were young.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And not even the thought of making lures didn't even exist. It was just showing off big fish that were caught on artificial.
Yeah, that's that's really how the hashtag and no live bait needed came about. We're just kind of thumbing our nose at the live bait guys that sit in the inlet and catch those big fish, and like showing that we could catch that quality, that class of fish on artificials, which we all know is way harder to do. And that was kind of where we got our footing from in the terms of no live bait needed, the name, the hashtag. And we had our own little personal following on our social media, but we were just fishing 5 nights out the week. You know, Tom Lewis is a good friend of ours, First Light Jigs. We were throwing his jigs, and JB Snookers. And then obviously SpoolTek. Brandon got in with SpoolTek first, and then Ben, then myself. And that was a treat, because they took care of us. We caught big fish on the SpoolTeks. It was a great lure when we had it, and that was one of our go-to lures outside of the jig.
Oh yeah,
we actually got to watch the inception of that with Dave and the whole crew. Right, he was creating that lure. He's like, hey, you know, we're pulling fish off, and I stuck the spool in, and you know, it used to be with a Berkeley power bait, and whatever. The origin of SpoolTek happened, and we got to actually see it. Yeah. In front of us to a certain degree, you know, and
from a sick, crazy snook fisherman, probably the best snook fisherman,
one of the best
that
of
will
our
ever
time.
live. That would ever live.
Correct, one of the best.
Yep.
Yeah, Dave Justice, mad credit to him. We learned so much from him, just sharing the jetties or the rocks with him or the bridges. I mean, from live bait to artificial. I mean, that guy's an encyclopedia on snook. And that lure is a testament to like how a snook brain works. That guy was well ahead of his time with that.
Yep.
Oh yeah, and we fished before that the DDX line, right?
Oh yeah,
with the
DDX, Flare Hawks,
bruisers, hammers,
bruiser baits,
Gambler, Big Easies. We were putting that shit on.
Yeah.
Any jig head we could find.
MC SwimBaits. I mean, so many brands.
Hoagies.
Yeah, we used our fair share of soft plastics too, but nothing was really made for the style fishing that we did. We were always Frankensteining them, looking for jig heads that had strong hooks, and then trying to match it with the body that never really matched right. So it was weird. It was hard to fish the soft plastics. And then Dave designed that SpoolTek, and it kind of had everything. You know, it had the profile, the shape. The one thing it was missing was the variety of weights. And it was a little over-engineered. You know, it did have its faults.
It worked.
That it worked, there's no doubt. So you got the bite. And we ended up getting our hands on the better ones that wouldn't really fail on you. But from time to time, you'd still lose a fucking giant.
There were certain times where you could only fish that bait at certain tides. I mean, it fished perfect at that point of the tide, but there was a lot of that tide where we were kind of sitting there tossing a jig or
100%.
You know.
Or forcing it. Or fishing it when you really shouldn't have been.
Yeah, and not wanting to get it stuck on the rock.
Yeah.
I mean, we were getting them for free, and it still hurt to get them stuck. It was like, God damn it, losing a.
Ben used to dive and get them out of the inlet.
Yeah, salvage them.
Yeah, I would.
Yeah,
I would. Yeah. Oh, God.
Well, you knew the ledge to go to, so it was a little cheating.
Oh, this was Joey said it's mine now. This is Caleb's. It's mine now.
I remember before I had the in with them, I was like using Brandon's SpoolTeks, and it was like
you were
4 casts in a row. I think one time
I'm like,
I lost them.
Don't cast there anymore. I remember Greg will send me a nice box. I'm like, yes, this is gonna last like probably like a week or something. Fish were biting really good. Literally a day, 2 nights of fishing, they were completely gone.
They must have thought we were selling them out the back door or some shit.
We were just, and thank God, thank God we were on the pro staff and we were able to fish those lures.
But Dave would be like, I don't know why they just send you 20. They should send you 100 because he knew what's up. Where we were fishing. Sometimes you're losing 5 or 6 of them a night per person.
Yep.
And their business was growing, and they were going through their whole thing too. So you know what I mean?
They were killing it.
They were doing a business. They had a business to run.
We were killing it with them. You know what I mean? We were giving them a lot of exposure. And then probably one of the biggest turns of everything is that from one day to the next, they just sold.
Yep.
And that's what kind of got us.
Damn, no more lures.
Yeah.
The well ran dry.
Yeah.
It did.
We couldn't afford to lose a $20, $25 lure.
Yeah.
You lose 5 lures a night. It's nobody could have. At least us, we couldn't afford that.
Yeah, and it's crazy, like the can't afford part, right? It's like I was in college, so there's absolutely nothing I could afford at the time, especially a $20 lure to go fishing. It's crazy. Like, you're pinching pennies to save for, a dozen jigs, and exactly what you're saying, B. So we were all doing something before this. I was in college parking cars, so the hours worked for me to snook fish a lot, right? I'd go to school, I'd go make my money parking cars, and then after 11, 12 o'clock, I'd call you guys, yo, where you guys at? Pick me up, scoop me up, whatever. And we all had different jobs, so that was mine. I know everyone else here has their kind of own history of where they were working before.
I was doing air conditioning work and also selling Christmas trees. End of October, November, December.
Yeah, you disappear.
Yeah.
Bye, Brandon.
Yeah.
You disappear, sell them trees. You were telling me you were banking, but
send a welfare on Brandon.
Duck off, work 12 hours a day for 3 months, and then be able to fish the rest of the year. We're all jealous of that. I owned a call center, and I worked to fish. Try to get off as much as I can to go fish, and I was able to get away from it. But there was no intention of doing any kind of fishing lure company or anything like that. We were just all working, and that thing happened with SpoolTek where we really couldn't get lures anymore, and we all kind of looked at Brandon because Brandon's the only guy making lures.
Yeah.
He's tying his own jigs and pouring lead. We're like, damn, we need like some soft plastics and heads so we could fish, not to sell or anything like that, but just we need fishing lures, and we did know that we needed like a little bit more variety when it came to, our baits and the water columns that we wanted to fish. And where did it all start at? What lure was the first one?
The first lure was actually like a 5-inch straight tail, like a DDX straight tail. Very slender bait. It was chunkier than the original DDX, but fatter. I wanted to put a fatter head, that way we can make them heavier. But we never even released that lure because the original head I made for that bait was too small to line up with the 5-inch paddle tail and the 8-inch paddle tail.
It wasn't the same shape. The 5-inch straight tail.
And I still got bags of those things in the container in the warehouse.
Yeah, that was the first lure that we ever played around with, just so we had some filler, something different that we could throw.
Yep. And then, around that same time, we were fishing hammer swim baits on jig heads. We were fishing AA swim baits. We were fishing gamblers. We were fishing any swim bait we could grab from the Northeast, California.
Yep.
Kind of putting everything together, something to get that profile that we were looking for.
I remember buying the warheads, jig heads. You
Yeah.
guys remember those, the calico bass ones?
Yep.
And you would cut the weedless tops from them
Off.
and then grab like a hammer bait or MC swim bait or a swim shad or something like that. And
Yeah.
Like we say, like you'd Frankenstein it to make it work until.
Yeah. And I remember looking at like those jig heads, like, damn, they look badass, but they're too slender.
Right.
Or the baits just slide right off of them.
Well, that was the big problem with all of them. Just
Right.
we fished a lot of Sebastian and fishing the jetty and slinging baits, and after a couple hard casts, that bait was just too big of a plastic on a jig head without a screw lock. It was sliding off, and that was probably the biggest issue with swim baits altogether. Any kind of plastics and heads.
Yep.
Sticky fingers with super glue all night.
Yeah.
And it was a
that was
pain in the
mission.
ass. And that shit made me not want to fish soft plastics. I was just like, if I can't, I'll figure it out with a jig or a SpoolTek. And it wasn't until Brandon, we were using the heads, and I would use, because the 5-inch straight tail really didn't pull on it that much. You know, it was when you made that bigger bait, the 8-inch paddle tail, which was one of the first baits. It was the second bait after the straight tail. You came with that, and obviously that would come off the head easily. And then shortly after, you showed up at my house with your contraption. Like, tell them what you did to rig that.
So I remember in the beginning, I would bass fish a lot with like swim jigs. And this one company made a swim jig that had a little tiny screw lock in the back, and I'll slide on a little Big Easy and screw it on. It will stay on there really good.
Right.
And then when I had sketches of bigger collars, way bigger barbs that would hold on the bait. I'm like, that shit's just going to rip the bait right off. And I remember thinking, damn, oversized screw lock, like something really big that would grab the bait really good. And went online trying to find a big screw lock, couldn't find them anywhere. And then I had some big owner beast hooks in my bag. I'm like, holy shit, this Screwlock's freaking big. Got one of the heads that I made, got a little tiny drill bit, tried to match it up to the diameter of the wire. I literally just drilled a hole in the back of the jig head, got a pair of dikes, cut the wire off, lined it up, super glued it on, let it dry, and I screwed on the first bait and started pulling on it. I'm like, holy crap, this thing's on there. It's not sliding off.
Was that when the light bulb went off?
Yeah, and I was like, holy shit, this is better.
Baits were way softer back then too. Like your original first baits were soft as all get out. Like we couldn't even sell that right now.
Yeah, which we personally liked.
Yeah,
softer the bait, better action. I didn't care if the bait ripped
after one fish. Yeah,
I wanted something just to hold that bait on.
Yeah,
and I remember sending pictures to Jose. I'm like, dude, this thing is sick.
Yeah, and I didn't really get it off the pictures. It wasn't until you showed up and you showed it to me, and I tried to pull it off, and I was just like.
That night I was so excited. I put it in my bag, drove to Miami, and I remember catching like 3 fish on it. The bait ripped a little bit, but the bait was still right where it was, and the jig head was still nice and tight to the back of the swim bait. And I was like, holy crap, this is amazing.
Yeah, that's when when you came to my house like a couple days after you fished it, you came and you showed it to me. I was like, that is something different.
Yeah.
That's not what most people have. And then we started. So that same day that you came over, I think within like 45 minutes, I had a company in China like duplicating the Screwlock.
Yeah.
And we got the samples back, and Brandon poured like, I don't know, a couple hundred heads, and we were just sending them to all our homies like Caleb and Ben, and that's shortly after you had the 8-inch paddle tail. You had that whipped up. We were sending that out. You came up with the Lil Mullet.
Yeah.
Like right around the same time as that, because that was right in like August, right before the mullet run was coming around, and we needed like a different bait for the mullet run. So you had the Lil Mullet, and then the 5-inch paddle tail came like a couple months after that. But just getting those baits on the Screwlocks, fishing them, sending them to people, we got. I mean, the feedback was outrageous.
Yeah,
like what we got.
And Caleb had a lot to do with the Lil Mullet, because we were fishing
Camino
a lot, throwing Gambler Big Easies on top,
bruisers.
Bruisers
on top. I remember Jay hooking the bruisers and fishing them right on the shadow.
Yeah, and he's like, bro, we need something like a fluke, but fat, and something that's quiet and
profile.
Streamlined, because I just remember I would hate just even the little vibration that the bruisers used to put off. I wanted something that was just subtle, and just like a mullet, come darting in the shadow line.
Yeah.
And paint the picture for everyone, like what year this was, like to understand how long ago this was.
2018 was when you had the final 8-inch, the jig head, the paddle tail, and it wasn't until like January 2019 that the 5-inch came about. And once you made the 5-inch, I kind of like looked at all 3 lures. I'm like, damn, we're covering most of what we need for snook fishing, and that's when we really sat down and talked about it. But like before I even get there, with that Lil Mullet, I mean, one of the special things was the first 3 nights that we got to fish that bait.
Yeah,
in the mullet run.
Well, I remember it was even weeks before that. I was just sketching up profiles, sketching up designs, and we'll throw some pictures on there so you can see like the original hand carving and sketches of the bait. At first, the thing looked like a penguin. It had little fins like tucked in the back. The head was pointed down. I was like, man, this thing looks sick. I made a master, poured a mold, threw it in the water, and it was just like digging down. I'm like, this is not going to work. So I just made a chunky profile. I actually made the mullet without wings first. It was just a fat fluke-looking bait with a little slit on the bottom. It worked okay on top. It'll zigzag a little bit, but when I paused it, it would just like go down. And I remember talking to Caleb, like it needs to stay on top. Every time we'll see those mullet go in the shadow line, they'll just pick out their side fins and just kind of like freeze or stop there. They can't see in the dark. So I was like, man, I need to add these little wings. I remember just cutting. I'll pour some plastisol on the side of the table really thin, and I literally just cut little triangles and then mend it little wings on the side.
Yep.
And I still have a first picture of it. I'm like, man, this thing looks sick. I bet you those wings will help it stay on top. And I took it out to the canal, and I was like, holy crap, this thing's staying on top. It stops and it just like subtly glides or stops there. I remember sending Kayla pictures like, oh man, they're going to smoke that. That was like towards the tail end of the mullet run, I think. Because I think you already stopped fishing.
Stopped fishing for the year, yeah.
And I remember.
Yeah, this is in September already.
Yeah, the end of
September,
September.
close to October.
October.
Yeah.
It was more October. Because up north, the mullet run was already passing through.
Yep.
And I remember telling Jose, I'm like, dude, let's go up to
Camino Real.
mess around with the bait. And we had a freaking crazy night. Those fish have never seen that bait before. And we'll throw up some pictures of all the fish that we caught on it. But that bait was an eye-opener. It was something that the fish never seen, something super quiet.
Remember when Baylor got it?
Yeah.
Yeah, we went. That was in the first 3 nights. We went with Caleb. We went with Baylor. We kind of went with everybody and wanted to see their reactions to it, how they thought about it, and seeing them fish it on the shadow line versus all the other stuff that we've always fished.
And we were.
I don't know how many overs we got. I think we lost count each night.
Yeah.
From how many.
It was crazy.
The snook were clapping it.
Yep. And at that time, we were just selling them with mustad hooks, like a regular. It wasn't even a 2X hook. It was like a 1X hook, strong hook. And like, man, we need a beefier hook. We found what was another brand of hooks that we found?
The Berkeley Fusions.
Berkeley Fusion.
Yep.
And that hook fitted very well, stronger, had that super slide coating on it. And yeah, that's how the little mullet came to life.
And that's how we were selling it. But we had the BKK hooks almost around the same time that we made that bait. They just weren't available in the U.S.
And if some of you guys that were buying the little mullets in the very beginning, we would literally put a pack of a single hook in each box and a Screwlock.
Yeah.
In each pack sold. That way people were asking, oh, what hook do I use, this and that. We just wanted to get it out there. That way people knew exactly what hook to use.
That was a pain in the ass. But that's we're talking way after once we started producing them and making them. But in the beginning, it was just, once again, just for us. We needed a bait for the shadow lines. We needed a small, subsurface fluke style bait that could get the bite, a mullet imitation. And then it's crazy the way so many other people have fished it so many different ways, like Justin Menendez and all the inshore success people have with it, and us seeing it, like the way it skips. But it was completely different. Something that really didn't exist, that we needed a certain profile that we needed. And it was strictly, at least the way we were using it, a shadow line snook bait.
Yeah.
And it really had that much success. September 1st was the first time that we fished the 8-inch paddle tail. So we're like on the back half of the summer. And we had gone to one of our summer spots that usually by that time kind of sucks. And the first night that we took the 8-inch out, it was mostly the straight tail. It wasn't even the paddle tail, but that straight tail, we smoked them. Like 3 nights consecutive, we caught multiple 20+ pound fish every single night that we were out there. And that was another big eye opener from what we were typically used to fishing over there, and then fishing an 8-inch straight tail when we were always throwing techs and flare hawks. And then having that night, like 3 nights in a row, that was, you caught it. Freaking mega. That was before jig heads had eyes or anything. It was just a Screwlock.
It had eyes. That was literally just a hand carved, like somewhat bullet shaped jig head that I took a drill bit and just tried to drill out little cavities for eyes, and got little regular 3D eyes that I glued on there.
I remember those, and the nights you were specifically talking about. I remember having variations of the jig head that it wasn't a 90-degree hook. It was like, you put
45,
the 45 degree. And then you also had the one where, just correct me if I'm wrong, it was like a straight shank hook. And then you would put like the eyelid on.
Yep.
Yeah. And we were pulling them. Remember, you put the eyelets in different places, and we were kind of testing them or whatever the case may be.
Yeah, we didn't even decide what hook we're going to use yet. Nothing was even invented at that moment. It was just we were trying to put the puzzles together and make something that we needed.
We were seeing what hook we liked best.
Right.
You had the Barbarian hook. You had 341,
3407 straight shank hook
with the eyelid. We had the 2 different 2X, the 90 and the 45. We had a bunch of different hooks in heads, and we were just playing around, seeing what hook we liked the best for that bait. Like what hook kept them pinned, making sure that they didn't open, all of the above. And we had the 34185 in there as well, 32824. We had all the hooks in the lineup. We had like 6, 7 different jig heads with all the different hooks, and we were just trying to play around with what do we like, what do we want to fish, so we could order that in bulk and just make more lures for ourselves. And that was the first night. It was eye-opening for me, fishing art and the way that it was swept and everything that you did to make what is some of the sickest baits in the world. But seeing it firsthand in action, the first night you fish it, usually you grab a lure, you're not just super successful the first night you fish it. That was the biggest confidence booster for me in wanting to throw the NLBN over whatever SpoolTeks I had left over, jigs or anything. Is I think that bite had almost died by that point. And we were like not even debating going out there that moon if it wasn't for just trying out those new lures. And the way that we got bit and caught fish, that was like, holy shit, we've never done that this late in the summer.
I remember getting to the spots earlier than we normally would because we were only fishing the SpoolTek towards the later end of the tide when it slowed down.
Yes.
I remember saying, Leo, let's go there earlier because I got some heavier jig heads and we could get down and stay down and let's see if the fish are there. And sure enough, boom, we were catching fish where in the part of the tide we normally couldn't.
Yeah, I remember kind of the eye-opening for me was, I remember it was like the first couple white straight tails you ever gave me. I actually went somewhere during the day. I mean, it was broad daylight, and I actually caught 2 fish back to back, and I'm like, what's going on right now, you know? And I already had like PTSD from like SpoolTek going out of business. You know, I couldn't get any more SpoolTeks, and then Brandon was making these things, and I could only get my hands on like a couple of them. And I'm just like,
I need
to
more.
this day, I am like, I need more.
You still have that issue.
Yeah, I still have that issue. Definitely.
Yeah, don't let him fool you.
Yeah.
But yeah, Caleb was, I would say, the next year is one. In the beginning of the year, Brandon whipped up the 5-inch paddle tail, and we were just fishing it off season and crushing with it and giving a bunch to Caleb. And that's when I kind of had a talk with Brandon because we had the 5-inch, we had the 8-inch, we had the mullets. We kind of had a little bit of everything.
3-inch. We also have the 3-inch. We just really never had time to use it.
Don't talk about the cheat code yet.
We had the 3-inch as well at the time. And I saw, once we had that kind of lineup, like early 2019, I kind of saw the company to a certain respect. And Brandon would always say too, he would always say, nobody's catering to the Snook and Tarpon guys like ourselves. Like nobody made a lure for us to fish.
Go to the shops, go online. There's nothing. There's a Gambler Big Easy for bass fishing. There's Hoagie made stuff, but that was for stripers, and they would catch tarpon on it and snook, but nothing designed for snook fishing besides the SpoolTek. And I remember going on Instagram looking at pictures of California. Like, look how dope their tackle. Some of the tackle shops are. They had all the clear boxes with all custom hand-poured baits. I'm like, dude, how sick would that be to have that here in Florida?
Yeah, it's like going to the mall buying candy, and in Cali they have like the bins.
Yeah,
and you're grabbing like, they have,
and a big hand pour culture.
Yeah.
Like those
Big
guys
hand pour.
respect what it is to
That
have
was
a
like
hand
when
pour
swim bait
bait.
fishing was really starting. Because I mean, back before that, it was mainly jigs is what we fished. I mean, that's what almost everybody fished. And then I feel like SpoolTek was the introduction kind of to swim baits.
Swim baits.
That's like when you started seeing hammer baits and everything else in the Northeast. And then it's like swim baits things kind of came about in that same time frame, you know?
Yep.
Yeah, and the California guys were way ahead of their times with the calico fishery and all war baits had their jig heads, badass jig heads. That was a big influence in like there's a market for this. At least seeing how big the market was over there, and then seeing what we needed as fishermen. I mean, Brandon would say it all the time. There's a gap there. Like nobody's catering to our type of fishing. There's a gap in the market. And we had a serious talk like in the beginning of 2019. Like, hey, if we're gonna do this shit, I'm gonna sell my call center. You got to quit your job. Like, it's either all in or nothing. Like, burn the boats type of mentality. And I believed in it. By that time, after fishing it a bunch of times, after seeing don't forget, Brandon's hand carving all this shit at the time. So I'm looking at this God damn, this is unique. Like, nobody's doing this style bait, and the way that they were performing were just, with Caleb's, we had about 10 guys that we were sending baits to, and everybody was just
I need more.
I need more. Right?
Can you make it in this color?
mending some of the baits about 6 or 7 times, like until they were literally falling apart.
yeah.
You know?
You have some
Yeah.
there.
Oh yeah. I mean, I brought some in today, but yeah, I just remember the struggle of it, and it was like, oh, I don't want to fish it. This is my last color, and it's like, is it worth fishing it or is it worth saving it? It was like, I just remember the struggle those days. It was like, couldn't get enough of them.
Yeah.
And we weren't selling them to any of our friends. We were just hooking everybody up, just getting some feedback. That's when we kind of had the idea to do the business, and it was an all or nothing mentality for it. And we didn't even really, did we set a date for when we kind of had an idea for September 1st?
Yeah. It kind of worked out in that timeline. When September was coming up, we're like, dude, how dope would it be to drop these baits on September 1st, opening Snook
So
season?
sick.
So it lined up that way. So we're like, all right, let's make 8-inch paddle tails, 8-inch straight tails, and 5-inch paddle tail. That will be our lineup.
And
Let's
mullets.
And little mullets.
Little mullets.
Let's pick 4 standard core colors, and let's pick 3 little mullet standard colors. So it was about 2 months of making baits leading up to September 1st.
Well, before you get into that, we got to work pretty much in January of 19. We had to sit down. I remember like March,
making all the
April,
molds.
May,
Yeah.
making all the molds,
Yeah.
finishing all the masters. I remember you had me fucking polishing masters till the fucking wee hours of the morning, like polishing them.
Yeah, Jose would be
Legit.
like, "Is this good enough?" I'm like, "It needs to be shiny. Like, keep polishing."
Like, fuck, dude.
I was seeing, and Jose's he's a book guy. He's not a hands-on type of guy, or knows how to do anything with hands. And to see Jose doing all that was pretty cool.
That is dope.
Yeah. It was whatever was needed to
Yep.
do. And shit, all I could do is just say like, what do you need me to do next? But it was setting up the molds, learning how we were going to make the molds. We didn't, you were still testing how to make them, perfecting that process. Then setting up the lines, building the pots, which like your dad helped us with, and how we actually got to hand pour these things. It was like a custom pot that he made. I remember that was like 2 months, 3 months of just
Trial and error.
ordering shit, trying out different plastics, different plastisols. I mean, we tested like 5 or 6
Tons
different
of- yeah.
plastisols before we even picked the one that we wanted to use.
Yep.
I mean, the process that we did, everything. It was from January 1st to like June, July. We were setting everything up and just getting everything in order, making the business, setting up the LLC, fucking getting a bank account, like from scratch, from zero.
Yep. I even remember ordering a 5-gallon bucket of silicone. At that time, it was like $300 something. We're waiting for it to come in so I could keep making more molds. And it came in, and the bottom of the bucket was busted. And now we're like, holy crap, what are we gonna do? This is gonna set us back. We just spent $300 on this bucket of plastisol, and at the time we didn't.
Of silicone.
Yeah, of silicone, and we're like, what are you gonna do? Took pictures of it, sent it to the company. They sent us a new bucket of it. But at the time, we didn't have that much money.
Yeah.
to start off.
You wanted to do like a 3D rendering of the bait. And I remember just looking at, I think we reached out to like Row or something like that. And it was $1,500 at the time. We're like,
We can't afford this. We'll never be able to afford this. I remember looking at it through
Definitely
his
not
page
now.
and like, how sick. This guy 3D scans it, 3D models it, 3D prints a mold. I'm like, man, that'll be so sick to do that one day.
little do you know how hard it is to do off of a hand carved mold. Wasn't a quick or easy process, but
Yep.
it was sick watching us start it from basically nothing, just giving lures to the guys. I remember that summer as we were getting everything ready, we didn't fish that year.
At all.
Like fucking none. My wife was pregnant. I had a son coming in at the end of that year. I have a 2-year-old daughter. I was up to my neck on stuff. We were at your house. I would work. I remember 4 months before we released the first, I didn't even go home from 8 a.m. till 1 a.m.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even go home. Like
Yeah.
afterwards, I got in a cadence of going home like somewhere midday, but in the beginning, it was just straight on through till 1 a.m. every day, getting everything ready. And then was it like a month and a half before we kind of had the whole process down? We had the pots, we had everything, and we started production for like a September 1st release date.
Yep.
And what happened the first night we went to go pour baits?
We're there pouring on the porch. We had one little LED light above us, dark, you could barely see, and we started the line pouring and started pouring baits.
We didn't even have lights. Like we were fucking pouring basically in the dark.
In the dark.
And I remember one of the molds that was lined up, the baits came out messed up. So I think Jose took the bait out. I poured it again, and we put it back in the spot, which was way ahead of the line. And when it was time for Jose to start demolding all the baits, he was just grabbing all the ones that were already hard. And the one that I just poured was the next one. And he stuck his hand in there, and that plastisol, when it's hot, it sticks to you. It's not like it comes off.
I emptied the mold in my. I was doing some. Every single mold is still individual. It still is the way it's made right now in mass production. Every mold is individual. Every bait is poured one at a time. Same exact way that we did it.
By hand. They pour it by hand.
By hand.
Every bait is hand poured.
One at a time.
Individual molds.
Individual
Just like
molds.
we do it now.
Right. Yep.
And it's the only way you could get the way that we make the bait. And long story short, at the time I didn't know that you could just freaking peel it out of the mold. This is day one. And I had thrown just liquid hot plastic straight into my hand. And I remember doing it, when I fucked up. And I'm like, I didn't even know what to do with myself. Like I looked at his cousin's like, I was about to wipe my hand on him. Threw my hand in the fucking water where we, cool all the baits down and everything. And we'll have some pictures for it. But there was blisters around, like 360 blisters. All on the palm of my hand, around my hand.
I remember not even looking at his hand yet, and I just kept pouring. I'm like, dude, it's just a burn. Like, stop acting like a pussy. Just keep pouring. I remember he showed me his hand. I was like, holy. He's sitting on the ground.
Man.
He's sitting on the ground, like holding his hand. I'm like, dude, this Jose's being a little bitch. And then I seen his hand. I was like, I have to go to the hospital, dude.
Maybe he's not being a little bit.
I remember the next day I was like at your house at like 7:30 in the morning, and your dad looked at me like, the fuck are you doing here?
Yeah, because my dad was there in the morning demolding baits while I'm pouring them.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys mentioned, but this was on the front porch of your
Front
parents'
porch
house.
of my parents' house.
Yeah.
Front porch of his parents' house. That's where we poured, packaged, made, painted every jig head for the first 2 years of the business.
Tell me about the struggle with the jig heads and the humidity. Like on
Oh,
the
and the
front
paint.
porch. The
Yeah,
paint.
because we were painting everything outside. We weren't in a controlled environment. You want that perfect lower temperature, no humidity, and
Florida, it rains every day.
Yeah,
It's
we
hot,
looked
you know?
outside to see if
Humid,
we could
it's-
paint that day.
Yeah.
and it was a big struggle. But we poured every lead jig head. We poured the lead, cut every chunk of lead off the back, cleaned them up, primed them, painted them, glued the eyeballs on. My mom would package them. We did everything for the first 2 years. We did
2 and change.
2 and change.
I
We
remember when your
touched-
dad made that. It was like that cylinder sleeve that helped you guys get the baits inside the package.
Oh yeah, that was
like
a
game
game
wasn't it?
changer.
Yeah.
That was
For the 8-inch.
For the 8-inch. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm
We
like,
would
how are
oil
we
them
gonna
and slide them into the...
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, Dad, it needs to bend like this, bends like that. And he's like, all right, one in this little magical little shed. The shed's like 8 feet by 8 feet, but you could make anything from that shed. There's
Shot an iguana on the way there.
yeah.
We set up a room in my mom's house where we kept the product. We kind of had like our plastic shelves, and we had bins, and we would put the product there. It had a little table, like a little rollout table where we had a laptop, and we would just fill
It was
the
a
orders.
closet. We opened the closet, had a little table, and that's where,
We would actually do the Shopify work. And
yeah,
right before that, we made baits for
2 months.
2 months straight.
Yep.
And of course, it was like the day of or the day before we were going to drop
It was a
that
so
morning.
we came up with our 4 core colors, poured what we thought was enough jig heads and SwimBaits to release it that date. And I remember telling my brother a couple of weeks before, I'm like, think you could whip up a website? He's like, yeah, just give me pictures and all that. I remember Ben even coming over and taking pictures. And
in the black,
the white box.
in the white box.
we bought a little white box. I bought little light bulbs and stuff at Walmart, and they kind of angled them on the chairs of clamps and stuff. And Ben came with his camera, took a whole bunch of pictures. And I remember going to my brother the day before we released them.
August 31st.
I'm like, dude, you got the website going? He's like, no, but let's do it. I remember like sending him the pictures, and within literally at like 11:55, the website was done. Everything was up. I remember
Shout
typing
out Georgie.
Yeah, I remember putting it all. He was putting all inventory. All right, how many of this? How many of this size? How many of this color? And literally to the last minute, we were able to go live. And just letting people know through our Instagram, dropping these baits.
Yeah,
September
we did.
1st.
We did like a little tease for the couple months from like March basically till September 1st. We were teasing out, showing just backyard pictures. Like I remember he had the stump, and we were putting baits on there and shit. Like that, as rudimentary as it came, we were having the idea of building this brand and not knowing. Is it going to be successful? Are we going to sell any baits? We got a little bit of a following. Like our page only had a couple thousand followers at the time, maybe 6,000 followers, and freaking worked for a month and a half, filled up what we thought was inventory. And that first night that we dropped it, I remember there was a couple guys like searching through the website using the search function, and they were able to order
Before.
And I
remember going to my brother, like, it's not live. He's like, I don't know, it's not live yet. I don't know. How are they doing it? We're like, how are these people ordering this stuff? We're like, just let it rip.
It was sick though. That first night we sold everything that we made. Like we got back. I remember we were still printing the shipping label on just a piece of paper and taping it on the box. We have pictures of that first night. I think we had a couple hundred packages. It was sick. It was like
cool.
a dream
It was
come
really
true
cool
for us to see that we sold. We walked into the room and it was all gone. It took us like a day and a half to package everything.
Yep.
Got it all out the door.
Caleb bought them all.
That was day one.
Like how many months of work just went away like that quick though? And then like what was the realization of like how are we going to rebound from this?
Within like, we were sitting on my front porch till like 2:30 or 3 in the morning, and that's when we sold out everything. We're like, damn, we sold everything. And then it was like an upsetting moment because it's like we worked 2 months to sell everything out.
Right.
It's actually a good thing
Yeah.
this happened.
Oh,
It was pretty cool.
Yeah. And that was day one. So the baits got out there. The response from everybody was through the roof. It was sick. And Brandon and I went back to work, and we were pouring baits literally every single day. From that day forward, for 2.5 years, we would do like a 8 to 5, like 8 o'clock in the morning. I'll call them up. Yo, I just dropped my kids off. Turn on the pots. I'm on the way. I would run to my mom's house, try to bang out whatever orders we got in the system from the night before, which wasn't much. Like the first couple months was
5-10 orders a morning or something.
maybe, if that. And
Yeah.
we'd go bust out some orders. I'd get to Brandon's house by like 9:30 or so. We'd pour till 4:30, 4:45. I'd run home, see the wife and kid, do from 5 to 8 at home. And then by like 8:15, start putting the kids to bed. And, yo, Brandon, turn on the pots. I'm coming back.
7 I would have to turn 7 o'clock. I would have to turn on the pots, and it took about an hour for it to start.
You probably didn't stop from the time I left. By the time you shut it down, cleaned everything up till where you started, you maybe had an hour to eat.
Yeah.
I mean, it was honestly like an inspiration looking from the outside in. I mean, you got to really want something. You guys really went out there and did it. And it was, I mean, just from the outside looking in, I mean, it was just mad respect to y'all for what y'all did.
So, 1,000%.
You guys earned every bit of it.
And the first few months, it was not like the people thought, oh yeah, it's just easy from there.
Yeah.
Like first month after, I was like, oh shit.
Yeah,
like,
we were spending lots of money on plastic, lots of money on
how are we going to do this?
Glitter.
Next month, even into the next year, it was like our months. It wasn't probably until the end of 2019 or 2020 where shit started popping off. Kind of COVID hit.
COVID, right
along
COVID.
that time, which was a huge boost for us in a way. everybody was locked down. All they could do is go fish, and all we had to do was make fishing lures in our freaking
Yeah.
in your
front
front porch.
porch.
And you guys are shipping them.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Right before COVID hit is when we talked to Mike at Real Deal Bait and Tackle. Remember, we were going fishing to Sebastian, and we were on our way to TNR.
That's crazy, yeah.
And we're like, I remember seeing Real Deal Bait and Tackle on Instagram. I'm like, dude, what's this tackle shop? New tackle shop that popped up. We're like, Jose's like, I don't know. Let's go pass by, check it out. And Mike was there. He's like, dude, you guys, NLBN guys are here. They're like, dude, you guys are doing some dope shit on Instagram. Wanted to put our baits in the shop. We're like, dude, we can't even keep up with the orders online. Like, there's no way we could get our baits in your tackle shop. And he introduced us to a manufacturer. He knew of a manufacturer. Jose gave him a call, and we sent samples of our jig heads, what colors we want made, the baits, and all this. And at the time,
I didn't know you were going to get into this nightmare.
no, it's part of it, dude. Yeah. And the guy that was running the manufacturing at the time came to our house to see how we were doing, hand pouring the baits, how we were painting everything. And he came by. He's like, "This is doable. We could do this in our manufacturer in the Dominican Republic." And so we gave him a chance. We told him we need this many jig heads, this color, this and that, and we got samples back, and we're like,
No, the samples were good.
no, the first set of samples were bad.
Oh, and then he sent them to probably not the manufacturer to make your
And sent the samples backwards. Like, holy crap, this is really good. And we're like, all right, let's put a little. Jose's the numbers guy. Got the numbers together. We need this many jig heads of this color, this many baits, this many 5-inch, this many 8-inch.
I remember it was like a 6-month process to get that first order in. We were so happy. We got like a pallet of shit, like a half a pallet. And bro, when we started opening it up and checking into the inventory,
eyeballs falling off, paint still wet, Screwlock's crooked.
Fuck no, we cannot sell this. We
We're
returned the entire shipment.
And I remember Jose calling him like, dude, it's 80% of our inventory we can't sell. Like, we can't sell this at all.
That went back and forth like 3 times, 4 times in different shipments where we would return the whole thing and then look at each other like, what the fuck are we gonna do now? We got we were accounting for this shit to come in so we could sell it and then make some other stuff.
And then you guys are just running back to pour baits because that didn't fill the demand, and running around like
we could never catch up.
Right.
Like, and that set us back. And there was one point where he was like, dude, we're never gonna be able to make the quality that you guys expect. And then I had like a long talk with him. I'm like, well, let me go over there, give me carte blanche on the process. Like, we have the process here. Let me go over there, spend a week, 2 weeks, whatever it takes to sit with the guys, set up processes, set up all the lines, and let us do it our way, and then tell us. Like, after we get that shipment, then tell us you can't. And we went hammer time over there.
Everything.
We were there till 9, 10 o'clock every
Showing
night.
people how to pour the baits, how to paint them, how to glue the eyeballs on, how long to wait to let the paint dry before you glue the eyeballs. Like, everything in that process, and explaining to everybody there, this is what we do all day. The same way you're painting the jig heads, that's what I do all day and all night.
Yeah. That got a lot of respect from the guys there.
Yeah.
Then that next shipment, it was like 95% fucking good. And that's where manufacturing started going. But that was hit or miss going through it all. That was into 2020, like towards the back half of 2020. By that time, we already hired somebody for the morning shift, the 9 to 5 morning shift. And then like 3 months later, we hired Jerry, our second employee, for the night shift. And he would go there 5 till 2 in the morning.
And who was the first hire?
Gio. And both guys are still with us.
Gio and Jerry.
Right now.
Still works.
Shout out Gio, head of B2B Big Box. He does everything big box in and out. Jerry, he's all hands on the warehouse. He does our receiving, our put up, our inventory. Both guys are with us to this day, knocking it out the park.
Rock stars.
Killing it. And that's where all of this started. It started on the front porch. It started with 2 shifts a day. We were doing 15, 16 hours a day, just making lures, trying to get the manufacturing off the ground. That was, after that, we got another room in my mom's house. We got a couple storage units. And then finally, like 2.5 years in, we got our first warehouse where we we'd go there maybe in the daytime and like just make sure shit is going right, and then we'd go to your house and still be pouring all the limited batches.
Yep.
That was like the last thing we got the manufacturer to do. But
Yep.
it was 2.5 years in, we still hand poured and made every single limited batch, and some of the mullets too we were making as well.
Yep.
Until we finally got that handed over. And then the manufacturer, we've always been very strict on the quality. We wouldn't let anything slide ever from the manufacturer. So
we still get stuff in today that we QC and send back. Yep.
our QC is probably as strict as it comes. And you can see that when you get the baits, everything is as it should be, as if we were making it on our front porch. Because we did it, we had that, we were so close to it in that respect. But that was the start of it all. And we really didn't get to fish. We were really getting a lot of feedback from Caleb's, from Ben, from the guys out there fishing the baits day in, day out, and giving us a lot of feedback on it. And even at that time, we had the 3-inch bait, like from the get-go, but we could never even get close to making the amount of baits. Like we knew that one was going to have to go to the manufacturer to get made.
Yep. And I also remember the moment the Little Mullet took off, because we were making them and selling them. They'll stay on the website for like 2 or 3 days. They wouldn't go really fast. All the other baits were like, we'll make them, put them on in a day, gone.
Right.
And the Little Mullets were trickling slow, little by little. And then I remember Justin Menendez calling us and reaching out to Jose. He's like, dude, I love your lures, this and that. Maybe we could work something out? You guys just send me lures, sponsor me on my page. And we're like, watch it. I didn't even hear of Justin Menendez in the beginning. I remember looking him up on YouTube and like, man, this kid's really cool. Handles the fish really good, explains what he's doing really good. We're like, dude, let's give this kid a try. And I remember like one of the first videos he did of the little mullet. From that point on, we could not make enough of those little mullets.
Him and Lawson Lindsay kind of made videos at the same exact time.
Lawson Lindsay too, yeah.
And that is when we can never keep little mullets back in stock from that day forward.
Well, I remember Lawson Lindsay would buy them and make it and put them on YouTube. And
then we
like,
sent him a big box.
We'll look at our sales and we're like, what happened? How come all these things sold in one day?
Yeah.
And then like 3 days later, I remember someone sending us a video and we're like, holy crap. That's when we understood the power of social media.
Yeah. Affiliate marketing and all that part.
Yeah. That was huge. That was like a big turning point in the baits. That really like kind of opened our eyes to like what these influencers can do on baits. Separate and apart from what we did to kind of start the company, that was really a big eye opener there.
Yep.
And then like backtracking just a little bit more, like limited batches.
Yeah.
That was completely different. Like we were limited to only being able to do 4 colors. At the time, it was like 4 colors that we could manufacture in house. But we wanted we wanted every color under the sun. We're sending Caleb all these colors.
I remember getting some like special color. I mean, even back before it was even not like for sale, I remember just having these baits and it was like crack. I mean, it was like anything you wanted, like, well, not anything you wanted, but like the fish hadn't seen a lot of these things yet. And then when you guys really got closer to production, like things really started getting like, don't get me wrong, when things started, they were good. But then like when you really started getting like the masters and stuff done, like things got really good. And I remember being like, there was only a couple of us that had those baits. And it was literally the fish hadn't seen them yet. So it was just so much fun. And then I just remember the one night we were in an inlet somewhere and it was like 3 a.m. And I think it was me and Dad or me and Sarah were just, I mean, it was one after another. I mean, it was 25 pounder after 25 pounder. I remember FaceTiming you guys.
Yeah.
You guys were up to like 2 or 3 in the morning pouring baits. And I'm just like, B, look, here's another 45 incher. Here's a 43, here's a 42. And you guys were just freaking steady pouring baits. Yeah. It was cool.
Dude, that was that. You don't know how much that kept us fucking going.
Yeah. We were fishing through you while we were pouring baits.
Yeah.
That first year, that really helped us get through it and seeing the success and seeing you, we know you're a slayer, and then sending us pictures of Dad and Sarah fucking stroking them. And it was really cool. Sick to see like the success. And that year, I know you went ham on the 5-inch and we really knew that was right in the beginning, and that was really, I can't even explain how we lived through your fishing pictures at that time.
I remember me and Danny Durante took them the 5-inch to Sebastian, and it was the what do we call it? The
sand croaker.
No, not sand croaker, but the one that not River Run. Danny called it
Runoff.
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 Yeah.
Rest in peace, Runoff. But I remember having that color at Sebastian, and it was just, I mean, me and Danny just went to town on them, and then I actually caught one of my biggest snook ever on that night on the 8-inch straight tail. So
And we don't have the recipe anymore.
No, don't have the recipe at all. It's gone. Brandon can't repeat.
I can't make that color again.
Yeah,
It should be illegal anyway.
that was sick. That was like, that's the start of it. That's
Yeah.
really, once we got into the warehouse, we got manufacturing somewhat down. We've had a fucking inventory issue till last year. Ain't no surprise. Like, it's hard to keep up with the way that we're growing it, but it was still is nonstop. We still don't stop to this day.
Nope.
We eat, sleep, and breathe this. We're here. We're able to get to go fishing a lot more. Fish a lot of these baits, these new baits that you're coming out with, which is really rewarding to be able to have that opportunity to do. Get the content for you guys, do the YouTube videos, be able to film, get some sick reels, but it hasn't stopped since. Like, even just, we were at the manufacturer a week or two ago, just going over everything, making sure everything was up to par, exactly what we wanted. But it was never with the intention of making lures as a fishing lure company. It was never in that. It was just in the fact that nobody was making fishing lures that we needed. And throughout the time we had a couple, I would say, sayings or, North Stars that we would say, like, we only make fishing lures we need that don't exist. That's number one. And we look at all these other fishing companies that all they do is just copy and want to make what somebody else is making. And we always know we're going to have the leg up on them because they have no brains to actually think about what people need. They're just looking at what's the most popular product, like iCast. I just call that like a copycat machine. People are just going to iCast to see what's going to be popular and what they could copy as fishing lures. That's goes against everything that we believe in. So number one, make fishing lures that we need that don't exist. And that's how the company started. That's how we're always going to look at, new products and products coming to market. And then also too, like, and that's part of the limited batch and the vibe that we bring as a fishing lure company is making the fishing lure company we wish existed when we were kids. And that's something that I think most people overlook. And getting into the fishing industry, learning who runs these fishing lure companies, it's people that go golfing more than they go fishing. It's like execs that like to go fishing, like they like to get a captain and go with them, and it's just completely opposite of what we believe in.
That was a big shock to me. I'm like meeting all the big guys on the top of all these big companies. It's like they don't even fish. They just have the money to push it behind them to make the company, and
they see dollar bills in fishing.
It was not a big eye opener to really sit down and absorb that, because like when you're looking at this from the other side, we're like, oh my god, this company's making this company's making that, and it's just they're pushing stuff just to make money. And we've ran this the completely opposite way. This was never about money. This was never even intended to make a dime.
It wasn't. It never was. It was just to make the fishing lures we wish existed and the fishing lures that we needed. And that is the core of NLBN. That's what got us up every morning to go make lures. Is like guys like Caleb, guys like Ben, that were out there fishing it every single night and seeing the success that they were having, the success that we had when we first started testing the lures and making sure everything was right. But these lures were getting fished a year or two before we ever intended to sell one. And that's really where the success of the company comes from. We didn't ask for it. We really didn't go after it. Once we noticed that we wanted to make the fishing lure company, we're those kind of people that just go all in. And that was the goal, and that was the mission from there forward.
We didn't even pay ourselves the first 2.5 years. We didn't pay ourselves a dime. Every penny we made went back into the company.
We had 2 employees, just paying them,
buying plastic, buying silicone, buying everything. Never even
saving
paid ourselves.
every penny we had until we were able to get our first warehouse that we paid for, and never took a loan, never borrowed a dime from anybody. Everything was we tried to set up the company where we could grow and finance our own growth, which is something that a lot of people just listening to how some of these companies started, they're like, oh yeah, we started off with a $6 million check. We're like, and that one example, the numbers he said he was at year 5, we blew that out of the water from a company that had basically an unlimited backing of money to be able to grow that as fast as they wanted to. But with that, you saw a bunch of dog shit products come out along the way.
I remember sitting with him who we were talking about at ICAST, and I remember him sitting us down, and he was like, dude, you guys are doing an amazing job. Like, how are you doing this? How much money did you spend on marketing last year? And Jose's looking at me laughing, and he looks at him, he's like, spend on marketing. Like, we can't
even spell that right now.
Yeah, we didn't spend no money on marketing. Like, who does all your designs and all your marketing and all that? We're like, Jose's like, dude, we do this.
You're seeing it right now.
And he was like, how the hell?
And I think it goes back to what you said, like starting a company like you guys did and having the mindset of it being what you wish it would have been when you were the younger kids that are growing up fishing now.
Yep.
That is the most overlooked thing, I think, in the entire fishing industry. And to capture that in the last 7 years, 5 or whatever, call it 6 years, it's impressive.
Yeah.
And that just shows you how good your product was too. I mean, your product did your marketing for you. You really didn't have to market it much. And
and
it's not a gimmick,
It's not. And wanting to build a lifestyle brand, people that could relate to it, people that could catch fish on artificial and feel good about it. And every day we have kids from 10 years old to 50-year-old people sending us pictures of like, look, I cut on your lure. And it's it's freaking awesome.
When did you guys do the first apparel line? Like, when was the first apparel?
I think we gave away like one of our OG NLBN shirts with the first run. There was like a black shirt with a white NLBN skinny ass Snook that had a jig and a SpoolTek in it. It was just some janky shit that we put together, and we didn't want to sell that shirt, so we gave it to like all the orders that were over $100 for the first time around.
Dope.
And then the first shirt, like some of the first few designs were some of my favorites. Like he did one with the causeway in the background, and it was like it all just shit to
all
hit
organic,
home. Like
all
shit that we would
organic
want to wear. It wasn't like a company's telling you, hey, you have to cater to this market. It was like we
want to, right?
That market is us at the end
right.
of the day, and we're just catering to us, and that's where I think the authenticity, people seeing the lures, they see the size of the company now, but it wasn't just literally 3-4 years ago. We were sitting on that front porch, fucking pouring, packaging, making every single damn bait till 2 a.m. every day, 6 days a week. I remember one time it was like the 4th or 5th limited batch, and it was like fine. I think we were like on for 21 days straight, and it was going to be like the first Sunday that I took off. I'm dipping Saturday night to go meet my family in the Keys, and I didn't even get onto 75 yet, and it's 8 o'clock. And Brandon calls me up. It's like 8:02. He's like, dude, we fucking sold out. I'm like, what? He's like, dog, we sold out. We sold every single bait.
I remember that was Sweeping Beauty. That was the first time we dropped Sweeping Beauty.
And I was like,
put 100 more on the website.
Yeah, put 100 more of each, paddle tail and straight
I'm
tail.
turning around.
Turn on the pots, turn around. We're fucking making more baits.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
And we did that, and it's been nonstop. It's been nonstop, but it's been a pleasure to do it for ourselves, for what we stand for, which is our style of fishing. This is why we do it once again. And I know like now it's getting outside of our style of fishing. Like I know a lot of guys are being successful in fresh. We see the map. We see where all these baits are going to.
Yeah. The Northeast is a huge market for us.
Even out of the country. I mean, there's guys out of the country.
But the striper guys, I mean, I didn't even realize how similar snook fishing is to striper fishing, and how we got to meet some sicko snook or striped bass guys that take it as serious as we take our snook, even more so.
Yeah.
Even more so, honestly.
And the success that they have with our baits and how they transcend to that market. Watching the guys in Texas right now freaking going ham in the flats, like using our little 3.75, the shrimp tails, all that shallow water stuff that's opened up for them. And then even the jetty guys that do the similar type of fishing for us, for just the bull reds and tarpon, they have their season out there and just hammering them. So like seeing how that bait translates to so many different markets, when it was just the intention snook and tarpon, and had it just been snook and tarpon, we would have been more than happy.
Yeah.
But then seeing how successful it's been, And it's a testament to like Brandon and the way his mind works and looking at a bait and how that fishes in current, how it fishes from a bridge, how it fishes from a jetty, and the way that he designed that. There's so much nuance to the design, I think. And I think a lot of people realize that you can't just copy a bait and think it's going to be. You got to understand why it does the things that it does, and that's why it catches fish. And that comes from a fucking snook brain like Brandon. So you could lock me in a room with all the tools at his disposal. I'll never be able to hand carve a bait like that. Like the skill and talent that he has is the reason for our success, is because he's one of the best snook fishermen. And you'll see it in the industry time and time again. Just because you're the best fisherman don't mean you know how to fucking design a lure. That's one of the truest things in fishing. So he has that gift to be able to do both and see it and like know what it is that we need. And that's the success from coming to my house with like the first paddle tail design or that Screwlock design. It was all
The first microwave.
How many microwaves you guys go through?
We went through a whole bunch of microwaves.
What's the over under?
The stickers were the only thing holding
25,
that thing together.
I know. Now, I remember when the microwave will break, I'm like, damn, there goes all the stickers, all the decals.
Oh, you would deck it out with stickers. Yeah, I remember that.
nah, but it was sick. It's
been cool. It's been. I never imagined the company getting this big, but now that I see it this big, I can see where it's going. Yeah.
Just getting started.
Look at your motivation. Now, back then it was 10 of us sending you guys pictures, and now there's
thousands
of people sending you, just giving you more motivation.
And I hate to say it, but like I would tell Brandon back then, like sometimes you're gonna wish for the days where we could just get back on the porch. I would tell him this on the porch. I'm like, life is simple right now. You know what I mean?
Right.
We're on the porch. We're just making baits. We got a schedule from here to Friday, and that's it. And we just got to break it down each day at a time, know what we got to make. But like also too, like don't forget these days, because you're gonna wish sometimes you could go back to the day where it was just all we had to do was just make X amount of baits for the day, and that was the goal.
And that's what he's been saying recently. Like, don't you wish we were pouring baits on your porch again? I'm like,
some days.
Sometimes.
just a simple, mindless day of pouring baits. Like it's chaos now. It's crazy.
Yeah, and it's beautiful chaos.
It's
organized chaos because we see the moves that we're making. But
Yep.
it all started from that, and it wasn't too far long ago. We were sitting on the front porch, and we're never gonna forget that, and we're always gonna keep true to making the baits that we need. Period, bar none. Like they can't exist. If somebody else is making a really great shrimp, I don't want to make that style of shrimp. We want to make something completely different. Something you can fish in current, like our 4-inch that's coming out pretty soon. When this podcast hits, I don't know if this bait would be out for a week or it's just going to be coming out. But once again, like this is a bait that we had way back when. I'm looking at the
3
dates.
years
We
ago.
had this in 2020. We had the tail, and then the head came like 2021. But perfection, fishing the bait over the last 2 years, making sure everything that we needed in a jig shrimp. So a jig or a shrimp that you could fish in heavy current, you could get down to the bottom. You could do our style of fishing, which is heavy snook and tarpon fishing. We made a custom hook on here. This is first time you guys see it. It's a custom, what does Mustang call it? We call it a 5.0.
Yeah.
Custom
6.0.
Custom 6.0 hook.
Badass hook.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
it's
proprietary to us, isn't it?
Yep.
It's exclusive to us. Brandon designed this hook from soup to nuts. You'll see the same exact design style on our 1 ounce 3-inch jig heads and our heavier 3-inch shrimp hooks. But this is one of the ultimate snook fishing hooks. It has a TS coating on there. That's a new coating Mustad just came out with this year. We were testing it for years before it released. It's extra saltwater corrosive resistance. It has a new point on it. It is a 3X hook compared to any other hook on the market. And this is the fishing lure that we need as fishermen. This is not because another company's doing it. It's because we needed it in our tackle box, and that's why we made it. And at the end of the day, that's our ethos. That's where we're going to stick to, and that's why we're so successful in this. So, yeah, thank you guys. Thank you guys for everything. For all this success, all the feedback that you guys are giving us, everything that we do, this is to give you guys more, to give you guys more value, to let you guys in on the background on what NLBN is, why we're doing this and where it all started from. Because we were just like you. That's something that we say all the time. We were just obsessed, psychopath, snook fishermen. Still are.
We're going fishing tonight.
100%. I'm so stoked for that. I've been fucking getting my gear ready for the last 2 days.
Yeah, I'm there working. Jose's walking to my office with a rod. I'm like, dude, what are you doing, dude?
Yes, he is pouring a bait that I've been asking for so long.
Still not big enough.
Still need another inch on it.
We all do, don't we?
Yes, that's what she said. But that's something that we're still like kids when it comes out, when I get to test a new lure, when we get to go fishing, when we know the conditions are right, when we have something new to play with. I mean, it's still that feel like a kid again, you know, getting a new lure in the mail or going to freaking Bass Pro and getting a lure for the first time and being able to go fish it. And that's what sets us apart from everybody else. So, and you guys, really, the fan base that we've created, the loyalty that you guys have shown, the feedback that you guys give us, the support, we can never say it enough. And we can't appreciate you guys more for, you know, the hardcore psychopathic, in the best way possible, because we felt like we were like that audience that we have right now. It was it's hilarious because even like West Marine just commented on one of our posts today, and somebody gave him a smart ass comment, and I'm like, yes, like, you know what I mean? We still have the right people. These are our people, and you guys are our people, and we appreciate it. All of this is done for you. It's done for us selfishly in the sense that we need these lures and we want to fish them. And it's a dream to be able to make something as successful as this and share it with you guys and see your guys' success. Because we're not fishing out there 5 nights a week like we are. So vicariously, the same way we live through Caleb's pictures, sending us all these pictures. I mean, I see them all. He sends them to us. Brandon and I really appreciate it and see it, and the memories that you guys make with these lures, I know you're not going to forget. We have too many that we'll never forget, and it's all done for you guys. So thank you for everything that you guys have given us, and we'll keep making the baddest lures on the planet. That's, you know, you could bet on that. So this is the story of NLBN. Do you want to add anything to it?
That's about it.
Should we do a giveaway?
We could.
All right, let's do it.
Give out one of the bag.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right.
Okay, do it. Yeah.
This is the bag.
It's a side
Travis Luther Art. Give him a shout out. Follow him on Instagram. This is the man responsible for this beautiful artwork that you're seeing on the bags. We're going to give away this Yeti little sidekick.
Packed with the new 4-inch shrimp.
and we'll fill it to the brim with shrimps.
With brand
How
new
about that?
shrimps for you guys. Hopefully it comes out before the shrimps are out. Let's do it very similar to the setup that we did last time. Comment your name. Comment what you want us to talk about on the next podcast. Leave us your Instagram. If you do all 3 things, you're going to be entered. Your name is going to be in the hat, and then we're going to pick randomly for it. Just do that for us. That helps with the engagement. Obviously, give us a follow, like, subscribe, all that jazz. You already know what's up with that. That helps us out, helps us in the algorithm. And it helps us be able to do sick giveaways like this. So if we get a lot of good replies, we have a couple more things we want to give away. And we could keep this cadence going for all our podcasts. So it's because of you guys. We appreciate it. Help us out. Hit that like button. Subscribe. Comment below. Leave your Instagram handle so we could contact you back. That's what we're going to put on the raffle. And that's how we're going to pick a winner. So last time there was how many entries legit that did it all? 50?
37 or
37.
36.
So out of 37 people, somebody won a $600+ backpack full of gear, another like $500 worth of gear.
Yeah, it was over $1,000. It was definitely over $1,000.
One of our
worth
biggest
stuff.
giveaways, one of the least amount of entries. Guys, we need your support. We want to hear your feedback. Am I talking too much? What do you guys want to listen to? Any comment that you put down, put it down, put on your Instagram. We're going to include you in this giveaway. So thank you guys. Thank you. Appreciate it. And this was the No Live Bait Needed Keep Casting podcast. See you guys next time. Thank you.
Later. Dope.
Smoked.
Boom.
Camino Real.